What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel and to episode 5 of Let's Play Dark Fort with One Page Mythic. Dark Fort is a solo micro RPG adjacent to the game Mörk Borg. You can find a link to that in the description. And our oracle for this campaign is One Page Mythic. This is a single-page version of the prolific Mythic Game Master emulator, one of the best solo role-playing tools of all time. You can find a link to Mythic Magazine 25 in the description as well, where you will find the one-page Mythic Game Master emulator. This is 5 pages of role-playing game rules, and this is all we need to have a great time with solo role-playing. Alright, so an update for you. I've added one kind of improvement to the stream. So in addition to our nice handy-dandy rules here, I realized that while you can see the map pretty well down on the second cam, you can't really see the character sheet very well. So I added this little toggle over to Obsidian. Obsidian is a note-taking app that is really popular for use in playing role-playing games. And so I've got a quick toggle here on my Twitch setup where I can easily go back and forth between the game rules and our character sheet and whatever notes that we want to take. So very excited to play with this today. I'll give you the rundown of my notes very quickly. So you can see under Dark Fort we have 3 campaigns. The first campaign is this was my first attempt at playing Dark Fort. I got really lucky. I wrote it all up in text. I got really lucky, and if I show you my character sheet, you can see that I actually hit level 7. I got some really lucky starting rolls with Kargunt, but I was able to hit level 7 to escape a catacomb in one piece and retire. As you can see at the bottom of the rules, if I toggle back, when every result on the list is scratched, you retire and remain in your cottage or castle until the 7th misery occurs and everything you know blackens and burns. So in my first campaign that I played on my own, Kargunt made it to level 7 and is now happily wasting away in a cottage somewhere in Vasteland. Okay, so the second campaign, if I toggle back over, the second campaign on the left, this is sessions 1 through 4 of this YouTube series. So if I go to my adventure log, you can see I have 3 of the sessions linked instead of write-ups. So everything in this campaign you have already seen. Here's our final character sheet for Kargunt from episodes 1 through 4. You can see he ended up with -1 HP when he was thrust through the gut by a cultist. Yeah, it was bad. As you can see, he wasn't very well equipped. So that was into that. And now in the last session, episode 4, we kicked off a new campaign. I'm calling this my third campaign, and here is the character sheet for Kargunt in the current campaign. So Kargunt is at level 1. If you'll remember, near the end of the last episode, Kargunt drank a potion. He had been stabbed in the shoulder, and he fell in this room. He fell in this pit trap, flat on his face, took some damage. Maybe one of the spikes slipped through his armor on the rib. So he came out of the pit and he drank a potion, and his ribs were healed and his back was healed, completely back to full health. Kargunt is good to go, but he's very nervous after being kind of surprise attacked by one cultist and falling into a pit trap. Kargunt has taken some damage. Obviously, that was a painful experience for him that he's not going to want to replicate. Kargunt is in the Catacombs of Artefil. This is a catacomb underneath the Cathedral of Artefil. We understand that this is a cathedral to some kind of nature-based religion, most likely having to do with the harvest and produce, agriculture. And this cult has taken up shop underneath the cathedral. So this is very Diablo 1-esque, a very Diablo 1-esque campaign that we're playing at the moment. Okay, so Kargunt has 3 points for killing a cultist. That was worth 3 points. We need to hit 15 points, and we need to explore 12 rooms to hit level 2. So we're at 6 rooms out of 12. Note that this is where Kargunt died in the second campaign. It was in, I can show you here, the 6th room. So interesting, once we make it to the next room, this iteration of Kargunt will have survived longer than in the second campaign. We have 3 silver to our name because we bought armor. We have a flail. This does d6 plus 1 damage. We have armor that can soak up to d4 damage. And then we have a rope. Now, I do want to talk to you really briefly about a kind of rule interpretation that I juggled with between sessions. So in the last 2 campaigns, I treated the rope. If we go down to the rules for a rope, it says +1 on trap roll, and it's 5 silver. I thought it was strange that I could buy a rope or find a rope one time, and then for the rest of the game, I have +1 on trap rolls. And I notice here that there's no S. This isn't plural. So I'm changing my interpretation of how the rope works. And if I go back to my notes, what I'm actually going to do is say that at the end of the last session, Kargunt fell into a pit trap. This rope gave him a +1 bonus to his attack roll to try to help avoid the trap, but it didn't. It ultimately didn't end up helping. He still fell in the trap. But I'm going to say that we actually spent this rope, so I'm going to remove the rope from Kargunt's equipment. And this should be interesting because now not only will potions be an important money sink for us, but ropes will be an important consideration and money sink. Once again, in the rules we have rope as a +1 on. I'm going to interpret this as a trap roll, and this will make things a little more challenging. It seems a little more consistent. Scrolls don't last forever. Potions are consumable. Ropes, the cloak of invisibility, are consumable. So yeah, I think this is just it better fits the dangerous vibe of the game. So with that being said, Kargunt no longer has a rope. He has his flail, he has his armor, he has no potions, but he does have full health. So we do have that going for us, which is rather exciting. Okay, let's go ahead and continue the adventure from where we left off. Kargunt had climbed out of this pit trap, and he's standing in this room with these extravagant, ornate sarcophagi on either side of him, and there was a pit trap in the room. And so we've explored the room. I did increment our explored count to 6 after we entered this room, and I'll just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right. So we need to move forward. We need to press forward and continue exploring the catacomb. All right, so Kargunt is going to press on. His motivation is to clear the catacomb of the cult that is down here. So far we found 1 cultist. We don't know how big the cult is in this particular catacomb, but we found 1 cultist member so far. We're going to roll for a new room. This is 2d6 and 1d4. We'll go ahead and give that a roll. We end up with 9 and 2, so a 9 is a round room, and a 2 is 1 door. We keep having this pattern of this just kind of like one long path. You'll note that to the east and west here in the entrance, we have the staircase where we came down originally. We have a path to the east and the west that we can explore, but heading towards the south or towards the north, we keep running into these one door rooms. So it's just kind of like one long hallway, and it's interesting because this is under a cathedral, so I can kind of imagine the cathedral above this, being long, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to try to model this room after the spire that we found before. It has 1 door. I'm going to have this carry on forward, and note that when you play Dark Fort, you get to choose where the doors align, and I like that rule, because you can make the maps look better by picking where doors, in what direction that the doors head, and if you're running out of space on one side of your map, you can kind of fix that in this way. Okay, I'm really bad at drawing circles. Hopefully that works. So we're going to imagine that, I'll leave it up to fate. Let me go ahead and get my 2 10-sided die here. Move these out of the way. Hopefully you can see that. Do I have the 4? Okay, he's out of the way. Cool. So there's our room. I'm going to ask the fate chart. Does this room also look like a spire? I'm going to say this is nearly certain. This is a circular room. Remember, this was a stained glass room. And I know we're underground, so, take it with a grain of salt. There's stained glass windows. You can't really see through them. They just look cool in this spire. We're gonna ask if this spire looks the same. I'm gonna say it's nearly certain that this room looks very similar to the spire round room on the other side of the dungeon. We get a 68, which is well within the range of nearly certain. So you'll see that anything under 85 is a yes. So perfect. This is another stained glass room. I'll kind of make a note of that here. Now we want to know what is in this room. So first, let's roll on the room table. And see what, if anything, interesting we find here. A 6. There's another peddler in this room. I don't know if it's the same peddler. It's probably a different one. There's a peddler from beyond the void in this room. Okay, let's kind of set the scene here. Is he just kind of like... The last one had this strange, like, deep kind of demonic voice going on. Is this peddler just like slumped against the wall on one side, speaking in this kind of otherworldly voice, kind of looking like he's clinging to life? I'm going to say that is 50-50 because I don't know. No, that is not the case. 99. Okay, that is an exceptional no. So rather, this peddler is very well put together. He's standing waiting in the room. You can see his wares around him in the cathedral. And Kargunt is kind of taken aback by this. Let's ask, did Kargunt have a conversation with the last peddler that kind of explains the situation? I don't really know how to, in character... Ooh, pardon me. I don't really know how to, in character, handle the fact that these peddlers are just like, popping in and out of existence. I guess, is Kargunt aware ahead of time that there are going to be these peddlers from Beyond the Void? I'm going to say it's very unlikely. Just give it a chance. 46, so no. Kargunt is not aware ahead of time. Now, did Kargunt have a meaningful conversation with the last peddler that kind of helps to explain what's going on at this point? We'll make that a 50-50. 94, that's an exceptional no. So Kargunt has no clue what's going on. Kargunt sees this peddler is in the room. He's asking him, maybe the peddler is asking him if he's interested in any of the items on our Dark Fort list. Let's see, what kind of money are we playing with right now? I think it's just 3 silver. Okay, so we have 3 silver right now. So there's really... Yeah, we can't afford anything. There's not a thing on the list. Whatever the case, this is, I guess, a role-playing opportunity. So Kargunt has no clue what's going on. Does Kargunt have... It's hard because I'm trying to think about how the mechanics of having a peddler from Beyond the Void showing up randomly in the catacombs, how that can make sense to Kargunt, how he can come to expect this. We kind of want to, in this case, express the mechanics through the narrative in whatever way that we can. Does Kargunt ask... I'm going to say that Kargunt asks the peddler, like who he is, what he's doing here. Is the peddler going to give a straightforward answer? I'm going to say that it's very unlikely that he gives Kargunt some kind of meaningful or straightforward answer. Let's roll on it. Okay, so that is a 99. This is also an exceptional, or a 96. Is that an exceptional no to a very unlikely? Yes, that is an exceptional no. So the peddler is going to say nothing about where he comes from. And that almost makes our job a little easier. The peddler just, maybe sneers and leaves it up to Kargunt. He can either buy things or he can move on. So now my question is, Kargunt is here to, exterminate a cult. Does Kargunt think that this peddler is a part of the cult? Let's see what happens. We'll make it a 50-50. That is a 13. Kargunt is convinced that these peddlers have something to do with the cult, and while he did already purchase something from a peddler, we're going to say that this frustrates him. He thinks he's a member of the cult. Is Kargunt going to attack the peddler? Let's call that very likely. I think, anyway. 71. So, wow. Kargunt does go to attack the peddler. So Kargunt gets frustrated, and instead of wanting to work with the peddler from Beyond the Void, he goes to strike the peddler. Okay, now we're not going to actually have combat with this peddler, I'm gonna ask a fate question about this. Does the peddler give out a bellowing laugh and just like fade into a puff of void smoke? I'm going to say that is 50-50. I kind of need that to happen. I'm going to say it's nearly certain that this happens just to shoehorn the game mechanics. We'll see what happens. Okay, we have a 70-30, so even if I said very likely, it would have been a yes. If I gave it a 50-50, that would have been a no. I don't know what my second interpretation would have been anyway, which is kind of why I went with nearly certain. Also because I kind of wanted that to happen. So, yeah, so we'll just say that Kargunt, he gets frustrated, he swings at this peddler, and he just bellowing laugh disappears into a puff of smoke into the void. Kargunt has no clue what's going on. Kargunt might be a little freaked out. Is Kargunt so freaked out that he doesn't want to keep pressing forward? I'm going to say that this is nearly impossible. He has a reputation to uphold and a job to, he has a job to do, but we're going to give it a chance to see. Does Kargunt get freaked out and immediately bail? 54, that's a negative. Kargunt is going to press forward. Okay, so we have this interesting encounter in the Spire, where now Kargunt is aware that he can't harm the peddler, and that kind of, it's weird. It doesn't completely make sense, but it I don't know, it feels a little better having that scenario in the works going forward. Yeah, that's kind of helpful. Okay, so if we switch back over to our character sheet, we can increment our rooms explored to 7. Nothing to do here. We had the peddler. That was it. We're going to wish that we found that peddler with more money later down the line, I'll tell you. We can go a long time without running into a peddler when we need one. So now Kargunt doesn't know that. He's still freaked out about the peddler, but we through dramatic irony, we understand that we need peddlers to survive, but we also need money to survive. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to roll 2d6 and a d4. Let's see what kind of room that we get next. Let me make sure that my flap is up so that these dice will come out at a good angle. Sweet, and ready, aim, fire. We've got a 11-1. Ooh, so there's no door, and we have a triangular room. Okay, so let's make this kind of like this. All right. Triangular room. Now, are there more sarcophagi in this room? A 1 is no door, right. That makes perfect sense. Okay, are there sarcophagi in this room? Now, we had sarcophagi in the last 2 rooms that were not spires, so on this kind of side of the dungeon, I'm just imagining that there are sarcophagi just kind of throughout for important people, and that maybe as we dive deeper into the catacomb, there'll be more and more. Whatever the case, I'm going to say that this is nearly certain. 93, so there's not. Now, keep in mind that when I'm assigning odds, these are my expectations of the story. You will likely, when you're playing, you would probably come up with different expectations than I would. Just based on our different experiences with with video games, with fantasy literature, whatever the case, or different desires at the time. So just keep that in mind when I'm assigning these odds. So regardless of what I wanted or what I thought the odds were, that was a no. This room does not have a sarcophagus in it, or sarcophagi, rather. Okay, so what is in this room? Let's do a description roll to see what is going on here. 73, we've got... This room is perfect. Okay, maybe this is some kind of... is this some kind of shrine? Some kind of, like, holy room? I'm going to say this is very likely. We've got a 93. That is it an exceptional no? It's not an exceptional no. It's just a no. This is not a temple or shrine, but it's still a perfect room. Is there... Not a sarcophagus. Is there a mausoleum in this room for some particularly holy individual? I'm going to say that this is very likely. We have a 62. This is a yes. So we have this one mausoleum, I'm going to call it, bigger than a sarcophagus, at the end of this room. And the room is perfect. So this room, maybe instead of being extremely extravagant with jewels and whatever kind of green embroidery or decorations would have been in the other rooms, maybe this room is more simple but bright, perfect. Maybe there's candles. This is a holy space for one particular person that was buried here. Let's figure out who it was that is buried here. We're going to roll on the description meeting table for a name, and this is just some flavor for us. So the first word, I like to roll for 2 words. 45, incomplete. For names, 47, incomplete and lacking. So inla, inlar, inlarge. That's kind of funny. Inla, Inla. So this is the tomb of Inla. We're going to say the tomb of Inla. I don't know who Inla is. Some person to do with a religion. What did Inla do? Let's go on the action meeting table. 18. Inla. Ooh, competition. There was some kind of competition that Inla won. Okay, so we're going to keep this in mind. I'm going to come over to this page. Why don't we... I don't know. Let's have a setting, and why don't we have a heading over here, and we'll call it Catacombs of Art to Fill. we'll say beneath the Cathedral of Artefil, and then Tomb of Inla, winner of some competition. Yeah, we don't really know what's going on. It's just a note for us to kind of give flavor to the catacomb as we go along. Okay, so we're in this room. Now, more importantly to us, is there anything of interest in this room besides the catacomb, besides the mausoleum? We get a 2. A 2 is a pit trap. We have no rope. Okay, so, wow, somebody has had the audacity to damage the floor in this room and create this fake cover for a pit trap. That is, wow, that is really messed up. Okay, so there's a pit trap in the room. We're going to go ahead and put the little spiked symbols in the tomb, in the mausoleum of Inla. We'll call it the Tomb of Inla at this end of the catacomb. Who knows, that might come in, it might be meaningful later on with our mythic twists as they come up. Okay, so Kargunt is walking into this room. He's got his flail, he's got his armor, that's about all he has. And he's expecting a cultist around every corner, so he's not really paying attention. We've got a 50-50 chance. If we roll a 1, 2, or a 3, we're going to take d6 damage. We will soak damage with our armor, so that is excellent. But it's d6 versus d4. So, okay, we'll make the roll. If we roll a 4 or higher, then we avoid the pit trap. Roll a 2. So Kargunt, not paying attention, loses his footing and once again falls in a second pit trap. So we're going to ask the question, how much damage does the pit trap do to Kargunt? It's a d6, and we roll a 6. No, no, not a 6. Okay, so Kargunt falls, even though this just happened to him like probably 5 minutes ago, Kargunt falls face first, how about sideways, because he's looking around, into this pit trap, and we need to know how much he's going to land just flat out on the spikes. And we need to know how much damage his armor is going to soak. Please roll a 4. So we get a 4. Okay, so we rolled a 4. So we soak 4 of the 6 points of damage. So Kargunt lands hard. He lands hard on the spikes on his side, and one spike in particular just jams up into his ribs. And as far as our health goes, this is going to do 2 points of damage, but this just stuck in his ribs, and Kargunt is so beyond frustrated that he fell into another pit trap. He does not have a rope. It takes him some time to crawl his way up and out of the pit trap in the room with the mausoleum. He's kind of blown away that someone would do this, and maybe his resolve is actually steeled by this. He understands that he's here for a reason, that these people are willing to defile the holiest of places in this catacomb. And yeah, maybe he's done playing around. Maybe Kargunt means business going forward. All right, we're going to increment the rooms explored to 8. So excitingly, we're now at 8 rooms explored out of 12, so only need to explore 4 more rooms to be eligible for level 2. However, we do need to also acquire more points. To do that, we're going to have to run into monsters, and we're going to hope for weak monsters, because weak monsters will give us points without risking the end of our adventure. Tough monsters will give us points, but they're pretty brutal. At least one of them, the Ruined Basilisk, gives you a chance to immediately level up, so that's pretty exciting. But the rest of them, they'll all kill you to death. And yeah, 2 of them have a 1 in 6 chance to end your adventure every time you deal with them. So yeah, but we do need to find monsters to make meaningful progress going forward. Okay, let's roll another room. Oh, actually, so we now have reached 2 dead ends. So we know that the catacomb under the cathedral, it goes north to the Tomb of Inla and south to the storage areas that are not being used. And they're both dead ends. So our only rooms that we can explore now are to the east and west. And this is really important. If there are no doors, we get this: no door. If you have reached a dead end, your adventure is over. You can still return to previously explored rooms with unopened doors. Okay, so if we run out of doors, then we lose the game as well, because I guess the catacombs over. The catacomb we've explored the catacomb. There's nothing else to do. To unlock another catacomb, we have to level up. This note says, when you level, roll a d6, you scratch the results off the list, start over in a new catacomb, or keep exploring the current one. Reroll repeat results when leveling up. So I'm going to interpret this as we can't continue our profession as a catacomb delver without being successful in the catacomb that we're currently in, and our representation of success is leveling. So yeah, we kind of need to hit level 2 before we run out of doors. That's another problem. We only have 2 doors left, so hopefully we don't roll a 1 and a 1. That would kind of suck. Okay, now moving backwards through the catacomb is a process. So every time we step into a previously explored room, we have to roll a d4. And if we roll a 1, then we encounter a weak monster. Otherwise, the room is still empty. And this is actually good. We actually want to encounter weak monsters specifically so we can have a good chance of killing them and acquiring points to get up to 15. So I don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world. So Kargunt is gonna move out of the Tomb of Inla. He's kind of clutching his side. He's gonna move into this stained glass spire type room. We're gonna roll a d4. If it lands on a 1, we encounter a weak monster. That is a 2. So we move on. We're going to move into this cross-shaped room with a sarcophagus on either side. As Kargunt walks through, he's going to avoid that pit trap that he knows is there now. We're going to roll, and we get a 2, so no weak monster in this room. The next room, there was a peddler, and this is an ornate room with sarcophagi lining both walls. Is there a weak monster in this room? We get a 4. Still no weak monsters. Okay, so we're back in the entrance. As we walk through into the entrance, is there a new monster here? 2. Okay, so that is a 2. We encounter no weak monsters traveling from Inla's Tomb back to our starting point. So we're at the entrance in between these 2 wings branching off in the catacombs of Artefil. Very cool. Quite excited that we were able to make it back. Alive. It would have been cool maybe to run into one monster, but we can keep exploring. Hopefully this branches out in a more interesting way to the east and the west. Okay, let's go. I'm going to call that we're going to the east. We're going to roll our 2d6 and a d4 to see what the next room shape and doors looks like. Ooh, we get a 5-2. 5 is a corridor, and then 2 is one door. Of course we do. We're going to make this a narrow little corridor. This is just coming off to the east side, and I have no clue what this hallway is going to look like. I kind of imagine 2 things. My first expectation is that this is bare. The other is that there's some kind of like art on the wall depicting holy scenery. So I'm going to ask Mythic, do the walls of this corridor have some kind of like holy images on them? I'm going to say that is likely. I'm going to say, yeah, we'll just call it likely. Okay, I get a 16. That is a yes. So there are, there's religious art. I'm going to say, yeah, religious art in this room. And then D6, let's see what the Dark Fort room table has in store for us. I'm actually hoping for a weak monster, believe it or not. A 1, there's nothing in this room. So we pass through uninhibited. That is cool. Our rooms explored is going to increment up to 9. All right, so nothing in this hallway, just some art on each side, probably depicting some of the heroes buried in the tomb. Who knows? Buried in the catacombs. Who knows what's going on here? Okay, so we roll a 7-4 for the next room. That is a square and 2 doors. Yay! That's exactly what we needed. Okay, so let's make this a somewhat big square. I'm going to make it go north and south again. So 2 doors. We're going to kind of come this direction. I'm going to leave the doors open on both the north and south sides. We'll have the eastern wall will be closed. Hopefully this will allow for some expansion in either direction. Excellent. I love the branching paths. Okay, what is this room like? I don't have any expectations really. I just want to know what Mythic says that this room is like, and we'll do our best to find an interpretation. Okay, description meeting table. What is this room like? Describe it to me, Mythic. 31, we get fragrant. Okay, so maybe I'm picturing censers. Maybe there are some kind of like incense, like burning area. So I'm going to say, I don't know, is censers the right word for that? I'm going to say incense. This is a place of worship. Incense and worship chamber. Okay, I'm going to ask, actually. I don't want to just say. We know it's fragrant. Are there instruments in this room? I'm going to make that a 50-50 because I don't know. But it would just kind of paint the picture a little better for us if there were instruments. I'm always trying to find my D10 over there. Okay, are there instruments in this room? 68, no. Don't worry about it. There's no instruments in this room. Okay, I do need to know what Dark Fort says. What is the room roll for this room? A 5! Oh, a tough monster. Okay, here we go. Kargunt, steel yourself. We're going to roll a d4 on the tough monsters table. Alright, now we could get really lucky and get a ruined basilisk, but you never know what's going to happen. Okay, a 3. Okay, so we get a Medusa. Oh my gosh. So what is the Medusa doing in the room as we enter? We want to do some... We want to roll on the Discover Meaning action table. What is the Medusa doing in this room as we enter? 39. 39 enemies. Ooh, our enemies or Medusa's enemies? We'll say Medusa's enemies. Or maybe we'll get more context. Environment enemies. Environment enemies. Okay. Why don't we say Medusa is doing something with the environment and its enemies. Let's say that Medusa is piling the bodies of the cult's victims in the corner. That sounds nice and brutal. So the Medusa is creating, it's a kind of like a change in the environment. In the corner of this room is this brutal pile of bodies that this Medusa is kind of building. And as we enter the room, does the Medusa see us straight away? 50-50. 46, yes. So the Medusa, as Kargunt enters the room, this big Medusa, slithering on a snake body, female human upper body, snakes for hair, hissing, turns, notices Kargunt, and let's describe the immediate combat that ensues. Let's get a description meeting table. So 14, this is a colorful, so maybe because the room is filled with all of these religious items, there's incense, it smells crazy, maybe the light in the room, maybe there are crazy lights in the room like chandeliers hanging that the incense is burning from, creating these weird color effects. The Medusa itself is wearing this armor and everything is glinting and it just looks colorful and crazy as the Medusa attacks. Yeah, that kind of sets the scene for us. So the Medusa is worth 4 points. So we're going to roll on a d6. And because we have a flail, we have no attack bonus. We have a damage bonus. So we have to roll a 4 or higher to hit the Medusa. We will do d6 plus 1 damage, however, and the Medusa will only do d6 damage. So we have that slight advantage to damage, but as far as hitting goes, this is a 50-50. So this should be terrifying. And then after combat, we have a 1 in 6 chance that we're petrified and that our adventure ends right there. So kind of scary, but let's see how it goes. So first dice roll, we want to roll a 4 or higher to hit the Medusa, and we get a 3. Okay, so the Medusa on its first charge comes barreling at Kargunt. Let's see, it has a d6 damage. How much damage it would do? 6. Oh, our luck is so horrible. So we're going to say that the Medusa, it's wielding some kind of weapon. It has arms. So if it's going to deal this much damage, it's probably not one of the snakes. It's big and strong. It probably attacks. Let's see, does it have a sword? Yeah, is the Medusa wielding a blade? Is that what I can picture? 50-50? That is a double of 4. Yes, that is an exceptional yes. We're going to increase that to a 2-handed weapon. So the Medusa, upon us entering the room, it pulls this giant sword. Colorful combat. Maybe it's swinging it around. effortlessly this massive two-handed sword, and as it rushes Kargunt, Kargunt braces with his flail, but he can't get out of the way. The Medusa swipes down and connects with this massive blow to Kargunt's body. Now we need to know how much of this damage is going to be soaked by Kargunt's armor. Kargunt's armor reduces his incoming damage by d4. 1! That's the worst pair of rolls that we could have made. This is the worst start to this combat that we could have possibly had. Okay, so Kargunt is going to take 5 damage. The sword, it barely scrapes the armor. Most of it just cleaves into Kargunt's ribs, causing serious damage. 13 minus 5 is 8. So Kargunt is reduced to 8 hit points. So let's think about this for a second. So we've had one round of combat. Kargunt is down to 8 hit points. This is not looking good. So Kargunt can survive 2 more blows like this. He also can, at any time in between rounds, we can flee from combat and take d4 damage to flee. Now, we can flee further into the catacombs if we choose. So that is an option, but I really want, if we're taking this much damage, I feel like we need the money that you get from killing a Medusa. Whatever the case, Kargunt takes this cleave to the ribs, and we need to know what happens next. So we're going to roll another d6. If we roll a 4 or higher, then Kargunt is able to somehow turn this damage-taking moment into an opportunity to counterstrike against the Medusa, who is at full health at 10 HP. This is awful. Okay, d6, hoping for a 4, and we get a 4. Okay, so Kargunt he takes this blow to the side, but he responds with the flail, and let's see if it really connects. It's a d6 plus 1. 5 plus 1 is 6 damage, so the Medusa's health drops from 10 to 4. There's no armor soaking for the creatures that we fight against, so the flail bludgeons, let's say it connects with the side of the head of the Medusa, knocks it like, it's a bad blow. The Medusa is not wearing a helmet, and so the damage is just bad. The Medusa is really, really shaken, blood coming out of the face. This is a really gruesome moment. Now, both of these, both Kargunt and the Medusa are extremely vulnerable. There's really no one has the upper hand. They've both taken a serious amount of damage. Kargunt is at 8 health against the Medusa's 4 health remaining. We're going to go into a third round of combat. We're going to risk it, and if I can roll a 4 or higher, we have a chance to put the Medusa away in this round. Let's see what happens after Kargunt connected with the flail hit. A 3. The Medusa is going to hit again. Okay, so the Medusa, roiling from this blow to the head, withdraws the sword, brings it around. I love doing that, and swipes back down with another strike. This is going to do 5 damage. Okay, so this is going to be another large blow that Kargunt takes. This is slightly less powerful than the prior blow, but let's see how much of that 5 catches on his armor. 1. So another horrible roll. So we take 4 more damage. Ooh, Kargunt takes another cleave to the side. Oh my gosh, that is just horrible. Kargunt takes a cleave to the side from the Medusa, this giant sword. He's just gashed. This Medusa, somehow it knows where to strike, and so it's getting perfectly in between the plates of his armor and just digging in. This is horrible. Both of us are now one shot, and even if I run, we're one shot. So I have to think, do I press forward? I don't have money. I'm not going to be able to buy potions. We're going to be in the same situation again. So I feel like the best thing to do tactically is just to roll the dice, see how it goes, and hope for the best. Kargunt is bleeding profusely. He is near death. One more sturdy hit like that from the Medusa, and we are deader than dead. We need a 4 or higher on this dice to live. A 2. Oh, Kargunt. Kargunt, maybe, I imagine that Kargunt, tries to respond with a flail, and the Medusa easily parries the blow and thrusts with the sword, jabbing it towards the chest. How much damage is this going to do? Another 5. Oh, this is bad. We need a good roll from our damage soaking. If we roll a 1, then Kargunt is dead. If we roll a 2 or higher, then we get to live to fight another day. We roll a 2, so Kargunt is going to take exactly 3 damage. Kargunt is now down to 1 HP. So Kargunt takes a thrust to the gut, and he is quite impaled. He is, blood is coming out of his mouth. He is clinging on to life. Man, we have a really good chance of not surviving our second campaign, our second iteration of Kargunt on the stream. My 3rd iteration of Kargunt. If we flee now, and this happens, I get myself into this situation over and over. If we flee now, we are going to take 1 damage at least. So we can't afford to flee. So Kargunt, impaled at the tip of Medusa's sword, is going to, defiantly, heroically swing his flail at the Medusa. We need a 4 or higher. A 3. So the Medusa, let's describe it. Let's describe the death of Kargunt in this catacomb. Let's get a nice, good description to make this flavorful. We get 98. That is valuable. Interesting. So I'm going to say that in the pommel of the Medusa's greatsword is this large, let's call it a ruby. There's a ruby in the Medusa's pommel, and it's very colorful. Everything about this combat has been colorful. It's shining with the room. So the Medusa pulls the sword out of Kargunt. Kargunt, kind of swings his flail, but there's nothing doing. We'll go ahead and get the damage roll to see what this looks like. It's a 2. It's a 2. Wow, so I just forgot that Kargunt has a chance to mitigate this damage with his armor. Okay, let's continue painting the scene. The Medusa flips the blade around and with the pommel brings down this finishing blow on Kargunt. Now, is Kargunt able to soak the 2 damage with this with his armor? We just need to roll a 2. We have a 75% chance of soaking this. We roll a 2. So the Medusa slams its pommel into Kargunt's body, and Kargunt, maybe jerks to the side and takes the blow in the gut, but it doesn't kill him. This doesn't finish him off. Kargunt soaked the damage with the armor. Maybe he's extremely battered, or maybe this spurt of blood comes out in this horrible moment. But Kargunt is alive and has another chance to swing his flail at the Medusa. Now, is he still probably going to die? Yes, but there is a chance. We could roll a 4 and a 4, and then we win the combat. So let's see what happens. So Kargunt just receiving this heavy blow to the body. Let's see what happens next. We need to roll a 4 or higher on a d6, and it is a 6. Let's go. Kargunt is going to swing his flail and connect with the Medusa. Now, is this just going to, be... Is this a finishing blow, or is this just more damage? There's a 50-50 chance. It's a d6. We need to roll a 4 or higher again to kill the Medusa. Let's see. A 3. Of course. So Kargunt connects. Maybe it manages to connect with the Medusa's head again, and in its wounded, bloody spot, it just bashes it a second time. The Medusa is reduced down to 1 HP. We now have a 1 HP versus 1 HP combat. So the next person to deal a single point of damage wins this fight to the death. Medusa is very obviously going to reel back and slam the pommel back down towards Kargunt. What happens next? We need a 4 or higher on a d6. And it's a 6! There's no way! Oh my gosh. Okay, so Kargunt... Pardon me. Kargunt slips to the side, dodges the pommel of the Medusa's blade, smashes into the wall next to him, and in its moment of vulnerability, one final on the top of the head. Let's see. It's a 2, that's all it needs. It's not a bone-shattering connection like the first one, but one more blow sticks. The flail sticks in the Medusa's head, and it collapses to the ground. The pommel still buried into the wall, cracks in the wall next to Kargunt. Oh, God. Okay, so, wow. This Medusa, first off, was worth 4 points. So I'm going to go ahead and before we see if Kargunt is dead, we're going to give him his 4 points because he earned that. We're also going to increment his rooms explored to 10. We now need 8 more points, right, to hit 15, and we need 2 more rooms explored, and that will level us. However, we're sitting at 1 health. We just got mauled by a Medusa. There's one more roll to make, so I need this d6 to not land on a 1. This is going to happen every time we fight a Medusa or a Necro Sorcerer. There's a chance that the d6 lands on a 1, and our adventure is over. 3. Okay, so Kargunt somehow manages to avoid the Medusa's eyes during this combat and is not petrified. So Kargunt pulls himself up from this this nightmarish situation. He pulls himself up, and he has 1 health left. He just barely survived this encounter with the Medusa. But he did kill the Medusa. So he has the 4 points. He wasn't petrified. He's explored another room. And after the fight, Kargunt notices in the corner of the room the loot of a Medusa. Nearby a Medusa is a treasure chest, and it has a d4 times d6 silver. So we're going to roll a d4 and a d6 and see how much silver that Kargunt finds. 1 times 4. So Kargunt finds 4 silver. That's not the best roll that we could have gotten in our lives, if we're being honest. Kargunt finds 4 silver. Now the question becomes, is this enough to keep Kargunt going? Kargunt has been reduced to 1 health. He is near death. So we have to seriously consider, is Kargunt going to press forward? He just found some silver. He was able to kill the Medusa, but he barely did so. So it almost seems likely that Kargunt might bail. So he does think back to the peddler and how he was able to buy a potion that healed him. And maybe Kargunt isn't quite aware of how 1 potion can't heal him back to full health. I'm trying to rationalize what would get him to keep going. Maybe just for fun, we can say that he presses on. If Kargunt decides to bail, then he's going to leave, and then we'll have to create a new character, because he's not going to come back into the catacombs. And that's a fair outcome. That totally could happen, because he did just have a very, very near-death experience, and he hasn't gotten enough of a reward from this catacomb so far to maybe justify that. However, he is here on a mission. He is trying to save the people above from the evils down below, and he might make the call. This catacomb has been mostly empty, and he's found several peddlers. He might make the call that it's easier to press on. He might not think that there's going to be anything else like a Medusa in this catacomb. Now, Kargunt would be dead wrong, but he might think that. Okay, so given all of this, and given my desires as well, I'm gonna give Kargunt a chance to flee if he chooses. So this is not gonna be our choice. This is gonna be Kargunt's choice. We're gonna factor in that Kargunt is aware that there are peddlers here, and that he could find a potion to heal him. We're gonna say that Kargunt isn't aware that the 1 potion wouldn't heal him all the way, but he doesn't know that. I'm going to ask the question, does Kargunt think that there's more of these creatures in the dungeon? I don't know, 50-50. No, that is a no. Kargunt is not expecting more Medusas. So I'm going to make that improve our next roll on the fate chart. So does Kargunt want to flee after this combat? Yeah, I'm going to say that this is... Okay, I'm going to say that this is very unlikely. We'll see. 60. Okay, so even if it was 50-50, it would have been a no. So not that matters. We call it very unlikely. It's a no. So Kargunt does not want to flee. Kargunt wants to press on. Kargunt expects to find a peddler and to spend his silver on a potion to heal him. And you know, maybe that's not unreasonable. Maybe he thinks that the potion will be better than trying to get help naturally outside of the catacomb. Okay, Kargunt is going to press on. Okay, let's say we're going to take Kargunt to the north. Now we cannot fall in a pit trap. If we fall in a pit trap, we'll die. Yeah, we need a peddler. Can we afford? Let's look back at the Dark Fort sheet. Can we afford a potion? Yeah, 4 silver. We could buy 1 potion and heal. So it's back to the same question from the last campaign, and what will probably happen again and again as we play Dark Fort. Can Kargunt find a peddler before he finds something more dangerous? All right, we're going to take a step to the north, or the south, I should say, towards the camera. 2d6 and a d4. We've got a 4 and a. Oh, this one right here, 3. So 7 with 2 doors. So on the Dark Fort room table, a 7 should be a square, and a 4 is 2 doors. So exciting. Let's this time let's make the doors go east-west, just to make things a little different, to add some variation. Now this room is probably not also a worship room. This room probably has a different function. So let's get a roll to see what kind of function this room serves. We're going to roll on the description table. Okay. Oh, is that a 4? Okay, so regardless if that was a 4 and a 3, it's still a 7 and a square. We get a 13. This is colorful. This room is colorful. Okay, so maybe this is similar to the last room. Maybe there's more of the chandeliers hanging from the ceiling with all of the religious meaning. Maybe these are like worship lounges. Maybe religious. Ooh, that's interesting. Maybe these areas with the fragrant incense and the chandeliers are places for these religious individuals to come and hang out. Okay, so we'll say this is another incense and worship chamber. Incense and worship. And then I'm going to put Medusa in this room because we found a Medusa and killed it, and it was a cool combat. We have to admit that was a very cool moment, surviving with 1 HP again. We can't keep doing that, but I'm surprised by the 2 times that we have, actually. At least 2 times that we've done that now. Absolutely bonkers. Okay, so now here's the $1 million question. Is there a peddler in this room? I want to roll a 6 on the d6 to land a peddler. A 1. There's nothing in this room. Okay, so this room has nothing more interesting in it than the religious paraphernalia all over the walls and the ceiling. So we've explored 11 rooms. We still need 8 points to level up, but more importantly, we need a peddler so that we can get a potion and heal up, because we are struggling. What would really be nice is if we hit level 2 and got made the 5 potions roll. That would be pretty cool. But I don't see that happening yet. We would have to hit level 2 for that to happen. So it's kind of a stretch. Okay. Let's roll for the next room. So there's nothing in this room other than the religious items. Okay, so we're going to roll 2d6 and a d4 and see what happens next. Well, let's step away, because I'm tired of being in this big row, let's step away to the east from the main wing. So a 7 and a 4, so another square room with 2 doors. Let's keep the strange alteration going of the direction that doors face. Maybe this is intentional. Because we're rolling the same shape of room, I'm going to say that this is probably, or it's likely, very likely even, another incense and worship room. Okay, so is this an incense and worship room? Let's say very likely. We get a 19, so yes, this is indeed an incense and worship room. Okay, I'm going to make a note of that. Incense and worship. This is another little lounge, religious lounge area for maybe religious followers to gather and talk about their teachings, or even have social situations in the religious context of their cathedral. Kind of cool. Very interesting cathedral or catacomb that we're building out. Now, here's the question. What is our fate on the room table? Will Kargunt live to see another day? We get a 3. Ooh, a riddling soothsayer. This is bad. Okay. So, riddling soothsayer, we're going to roll a die. On an odd result, we solve the riddle and may choose to receive either 10 silver or 3 points. Even result, mind-shattering shockwave deals D4 damage. This is hard. So this could kill us. I'm going to put soothsayer. So there's a soothsayer. We're going to say he's lounging on the couch. Couch. There's some kind of interesting looking, maybe padded chair or sofa kind of thing in the room. And he notices us when we enter, and he's with the cultists. So the first thing he's going to do is use his knowledge of the future to kind of spout off this riddle of the future at us as an assault on our mind. And Kargunt, bleeding profusely, is an easy target. So we're going to roll a die, and on an odd result, we solve the riddle. On an even result, we die. A 1. Okay, so odd result, we solve the riddle, and we can choose either to receive 10 silver or 3 points. And the way that I like to narratively interpret this is Kargunt boldly responds with the answer to the riddle, and his mind is, steeled rather than shocked. And the soothsayers never expect this. In my mind, the way I interpret this, the soothsayer is panicked and offers money for their life. So we can either take silver or we can take points. If we take points, it means that we killed the soothsayer. Okay, so we can take 10 silver, and in that case, we'd be able to buy enough potions to get us back to full health if we found a peddler. Or if we took the points, we would have to survive another 5 points worth of combat to have a chance at leveling up and maybe getting potions. So I think the safe thing to do is to accept the soothsayer's bribe. We're going to accept his bribe, and we're going to threaten him and tell him to leave the catacombs and never come back. And he gives us 10 silver, and he bails. He runs back towards the entrance. Maybe Kargunt even watches him as he leaves. No, we don't really have any visibility to see if he really goes back to the entrance. But we know that, this is the only way to... I mean, he can hide on the two ends of the wing, or he can leave. Those are his choices. Whatever the case, we survived a riddling soothsayer, and we got 10 silver out of it, so that is... that's quite exciting. We could have died just then. We just had a 50-50 chance of death, and once again, we narrowly escaped death. So Kargunt needs to find a peddler beyond the void. I think this is a great place, actually, to end this session. This session has been a blast. I really enjoyed the combat with the Medusa and the way that we're able to kind of set the stage, the environment that we're playing in this catacomb under a cathedral with all this religious imagery is really, really cool. The combat with the Medusa was just so fun. This campaign, this series of Dark Fort and One Page Mythic sessions really shows how little that you need to get started with solo role-playing. It's honestly, it's really cool. I'm very happy that I've kind of taken on this challenge. I hope to get I hope to eventually get a Kargunt on video to retirement, but things aren't going my way. Thus far, Kargunt is sitting at 1 health. He is bleeding profusely. One of my favorite phrases, I guess, during the series. He is likely going to die, but he lives to fight another day. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching the show. If you enjoy the show, be sure to hit like and subscribe to let me know that you are interested in seeing more solo role-playing content. In the next session, we are going to continue following along with Kargunt as he makes his way through the catacomb, hoping to find a peddler to heal himself so that he can carry on with his mission of eradicating the cult that is dwelling underneath the Cathedral of Artefil. Yeah, thank you so much, and until the next episode, fight on.